What we're going over is operations of a Finn BB302 bark blower. We have to start in the back so you understand what we're talking about. This is the airlock, which the material flows into. There's also a bed knife or a chipper knife inside of here where the material has to be sheared off so it can get into the airlock if the material gets a little bit strandy or whatever, so it can flow through. Also in the back here is a pair of safety switches that have to be depressed in order for the machine to even actually operate at all. So you have to make sure that this door is closed and tightened down to depress those switches. The next step is connecting the hose. Quick coupler assemblies, and they have a gasket internally on them that must be in place, otherwise you will lose air pressure when the machine is also in operation. And that connects onto this fitting here, and you pull the two levers down. Lock it on. The other end has the same type of a connector with the two levers and a gasket. It will connect onto the other end of the hose for actually operation of the machine. Inside of here, this is a 1.5 yard hopper. It has a chain floor that drags it back and feeds it into the airlock assembly when it's in operation. This is your main control panel here, covered by this lid to keep the debris from landing on the controls when you're actually loading the machine. This is a manual remote for starting the bed material. This is a shut-off button. And when you push it down, it shuts the machine down. This is your remote control that the person carries with him to start material without being next to the machine. When you get started, you have the material loaded into the hopper, and you have to be careful what type of material goes in there. You have to make sure you don't have glass, rocks, nails, pieces of steel, hard materials such as larger pieces of wood, 2x4, stuff like that. That will either cause personal injury as the material comes out of the end of the hose, or it can cause damage to the product that you're trying to mulch around, and it can also do damage to the airlock. Step 1, turn this on clockwise. Step 2, turn the ignition on. Step 3, start the engine. Step 4, turn the hydraulics on. Step 5, push material start button. Step 6, increase engine RPM. Step 7, start floor button. Step 8, increase floor speed to desired flow. To get started, you must have this emergency shut-off or shutdown button. You turn it clockwise till it pops up, and then that's ready to go. You will have this key, and turn it to the on position. Your lights will flash, and once they're done doing that, the next step is to push the engine start button, and then the machine will fire up. After it is running, you also take your remote and turn that clockwise, and then there's this green button on the bottom that you push. Once you push that, you'll see a series of lights flashing, and you release it, and when it's synced up, you'll only see the top two flashing, which will allow this control to operate for you from whatever distance you're at with the hose. After it is running, you can hit hydraulics on switch, which will make everything come alive for you in the machine. And then you can hit this button here to increase RPM or decrease RPM. Since you just started it, you will have it to increase it because it will already be in idle. Start floor button. At that point, you have this button here also to increase or decrease floor speed, which determines how much material you're going to be putting out of the hose at one time. If the material is wet or damp or larger in size, where it's only single ground or something like that, mulch instead of double ground or triple ground, the material won't flow as easy, so you'll probably have the floor speed decreased and our engine RPM up. If the material is really light and fluffy and flows well, and the area you're at is in a sensitive type of an area, you may decrease both the engine RPM and the floor speed, so you have less product and not as much force. The longer the hose is, the more blower force you need, so you need higher RPM. That's how you run it all manually, and the floors start and stop. Let's say you're going between islands or trees. You can manually start it here with the green button, or manually stop it with the green or the red button. And the same thing, this is all manual controls here. If somebody is standing behind a machine, or your batteries or your remote control is not functioning properly. Generally, the guy that's running the hose is the fellow that would have this control with him, because he has to time when he's shutting down the material and when he's starting the material back up the flow again into the islands that he's going to be spreading the mulch at. We have the extension for the front of the machine, which you can lay out to whatever angle you might want to have it and repin it. That gives you the ability to load mulch with a shovel or something from your dump truck. If you have material that you have to have more than 1.5 yards to do, which most people do, and you can shovel directly from your truck into this, and that'll somewhat prevent you from having to have a skid loader or something else to load this machine with while you're on the job site. Most of the time it's being loaded by a bulk pile when you get to a site, or for the truck. The hitch is a pintle style hitch. If you look down the center of this, you can see the drag floor and the drum assembly. The bark blowers are also equipped with auto reverse on them. Say a piece of material that you're not supposed to have in here, say a 2x4 piece got in your mulch somehow and it got down into this airlock assembly. And the airlock would not shear that off because it's hard and it's too large. Or if a rock got in there and it couldn't shear it off because it's so hard, the machine will go in the reverse trying to dislodge that piece and then go back into forward. So the airlock will move back and forth a few times till finally the operation of the thing will stop. The engine will stay running, but the machine won't run because there's some kind of debris in this airlock. And that's where you'll have to open this rear door that we talked about and see what's in there and remove it before you can continue blowing